What's going on, baby? We got a Cappy Army video, and if you know anything about Cappy Army, you know it's going to be swinging. So, Russia launches massive assault. It goes very wrong. Shocker. Russia's been pushing these mechanized assaults since day one of the full-scale invasion, and they have just been getting pounded. But that's kind of their MO, right? Just throw more vehicles, throw more assets, throw more humans at the problem until eventually they win, like a overflowing tide of orcs over over the walls, right? That's kind of their MO. So this is going to be cool. Looks like I see right here in the corner already, or on the side, it says Azov. So we got some Azov footage, which is always good. Before we jump into it, please like, share, subscribe. You guys, we're on the way to 50,000 subs, man. Very, very exciting. We have a lot of cool stuff going on with this channel. Really cool stuff going on in Ukraine. We've got some collabs coming up. Just really exciting stuff, man. So please, really appreciate it, and thank you for the love. Let's go ahead. Oh, lastly, we're finished. This is the last day of our fundraiser for John and Patrick's drone team. So if you are willing and able and you want to help some guys become combat effective and get up and moving with their drone team, they're going to be sending pictures, photos, videos of the stuff that they're purchasing with your guys' support, your guys' funds that you have donated. And it's really cool. So you can see where your money's going, tangible results. It's a small team. Your money's not getting lost in translation somewhere, right? So, all right, guys, let's do it, man. Cappy Army, check him out. I'm sure if you found my channel, you know who Cappy is, man. Let's go.
Fortified Ukrainian position near the strategically Russian forces launch a massive armored assault against a fortified Ukrainian position near the strategically important sector of Toretsk.
That's where I was. I was near. I wasn't in this town of Toretsk.
Declassified battle happened in 2025, and we'll see the fight quickly escalates from a normal assault as Ukraine rushes in reinforcements to try to stop a breakthrough. Russian forces open the attack with small formations of infantry riding in Chinese-made motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Thermal image surveillance footage finds and fixes the 5 targets. Ukrainian mines blow the unarmored transports into pieces. FPV attack drones then finish off the remaining soldiers. But this is just the beginning. The reason these cheap assets are committed first in the attack is to probe the Ukrainian defense. It's recon by fire.
It's a meat
Next,
wave.
a 4-wheeled ATV tries to survive running the gauntlet, but it takes a nosedive and gets stuck in a ditch at the worst possible location. The pursuing Ukrainian bomber drone starts dropping explosives directly on them. The first one knocks out the engine. The second one wounds soldiers on the right side. The effects on target are devastating. The third bomb is a direct hit. The fourth bomb is another direct hit. The squad of 6 Russian infantry try to escape, but without their transport, only 2 of them manage to outrun the shrapnel from multiple bomb runs. These survivors then attempt to find cover and concealment nearby. They try to infiltrate through any defensive crack.
Yo, his shirt, it says "When in doubt, frag out." That is hilarious. I used to say that in some of our videos when we were talking about trench clearing or bunker clearing. I was like, throw a frag at it. If you hear something, you think you hear something, you see something, you think you see something, throw a frag. You smell something, throw a frag. When in doubt, frag out. That's funny, man. I guess I wasn't the first one to think of it, but cool. Also,
Being an infantry
no beard, dude? Cappy looking like he's 13, man. I love it. Good on him.
assigned to unprotected vehicles on this mission must feel like a death
Hold up. I just said he looks like he's 13. I love it. Hey, yo. Don't clip that.
sentence, and often soldiers are assigned to these missions as punishment. These initial probing attacks provide valuable battlefield intelligence, though, for Russian commanders. They now know which directions are less protected. Now the escalation begins as the second wave of the assault kicks off, this time with heavily armored Russian vehicles. But before we get into that, a lot of people don't know I've already created over 30 exclusive combat footage analysis videos on Pepperbox that I create weekly and you can only find there.
Check
For
it
some
out.
of the episodes, I also bring on guests to get their insights into warfare, like former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, Eli Doubletap, HLC, Fat Electrician, Justin Taylor, and more. I'm proud of the combat footage that we put out there on Pepperbox because I think preserving the history of warfare is important. It's an educational learning tool for what our future war warfighters and leaders may face, and it's a reminder why avoiding war is so
Hey, do me a favor, go comment on Cappy's channel. Say, get Vegas on your Pepperbox videos. Get Different Breed TV on Pepperbox.
important, because on Pepperbox I'm able to show the fully uncensored cost of war, and if you use my link in the description of the video or the pinned comment below, you get a 14-day free trial, and it's just $7.99 a month after that, so it's risk-free, and you can watch all 30 plus exclusive episodes, and then if you don't like it, you can cancel it. But I think you're going to want to stick around, because Pepperbox is available on all major platforms: Smart TV, Roku, Xbox, and more. Use my link to get access to ad-free versions of my regular episodes and weekly exclusives from me and your other favorite creators. The escalation starts using the intelligence gained from the probing attacks. The Russian side sends in a wave of higher value mechanized troops in BTR transports. They pass by the husks of burnt out armored vehicles that were destroyed in the past. Each one that they pass by marks the cost of their advance.
That's their
These
future.
vehicles actually have some armor on them, which shows the Russian commanders are escalating the assault and sending in heavier, more expensive resources along this route. Russian High Command believes that they found a weak spot in Ukraine's defense and are about to commit a massive force to try to exploit it. The BTR offers the Russian troops inside the hull a better chance of getting to the fight compared to the motorbikes and ATVs we saw earlier. The rear vehicle takes a hit from an FPV drone. They're now within 10 kilometers of the Ukrainian drone operators. The vehicle shrugs off the blow and keeps advancing. A second FPV drone hits the lead vehicle on its top right where the armor is weaker. This hit causes a detonation on the roof. It's likely that this hit was where they stored their ammunition, because a fire starts to rage and break out. The lead vehicle is now sputtering to a stop. We see that 4 of the Russian infantry in the back are able to bail out the doors and continue the attack on foot. From the Russian commander's perspective, that means the vehicle did its job and protected the troops at least this far. It's a cold and brutal calculation, but the commanders on the Russian side judge that sending vehicles and crew on a one-way trip is worth it if it gets the assault team onto the objective. The 2 Russian vehicles now split up across from each other and try to split the attention of the Ukrainian drone operators. One veers off the road and attempts to assault through the open field. The other vehicle is deadlined and unable to advance further. An artillery strike barely misses them. Then a munition slams into the left side and actually exits straight out the right side of the vehicle. The projectile ignites the BTR's fuel tank in the process. The shaped charge carried by an FPV drone could do that, but as we'll see in a moment, there's a Ukrainian apex predator lurking on this battlefield, and that might be what punched the hole. One of the BTRs made it to a small part of the village. We can see how almost all of the houses have been made it to.
Yo, look at this. Let's just pull up next to the anti-tank mines. Let's unload here.
A small part of the village. We can see how almost all of the houses have been flattened by fighting already. An FPV drone hits the BTR in the rear, causing a massive smoke cloud. The reason munitions are often aimed at these vehicles' rear is because, as you can see in the vehicle schematics, that's where the engine is located. But Ukraine has now committed reinforcements to the sector with a main battle tank. They've redeployed what appears to be a T-72. This is what we think fired that shot earlier, that punched straight through the BTR. The
Makes
Ukrainian
sense.
tank fires point blank at the Russian vehicle with its 125mm cannon. It fires the shot from only about 50 meters away. It looks like a heat round, which flies at 900 meters per second. During this phase of the assault, Ukraine purposely sends tanks close range to dislodge infantry because of its shock factor. They want to scare Russian troops into running from their hiding spots and exposing their position. The cannon at...
Quick story. I was in a position once, literally a hole. If I find the video, I'll put it right here. The hole that I was in, and there was an enemy tank. I don't know. It wasn't too close. Probably a few hundred. Well, I mean, relatively speaking, probably a few hundred meters out on the other side of our trench line, and a friendly tank came in, and they had a tank duel. They were dueling over our trench line, and so we're sitting in basically what are like ranger graves, right? Just these little duck cutouts in the dirt. I'll show you, and you'll hear these things just ripping through the trees because we were in a tree line. That's where our trenches were, and they were ripping through the trees. Whoosh, whoosh. Scary, dude. And that was one Russian tank. pulling like multiple enemy tanks pulling up on you like this, I pee myself, dude.
At close range, feels like an earthquake from its pressure and explosive force. We see what looks like a massive explosion that could be a secondary hit-off, but it probably is from the heat round that sends out a shape charge explosive, a molten jet on impact. This is useful choice if you want to send fragments through the whole armor because you think infantry might still be inside. It's also done to make it more difficult for Russia to recover and refurbish this equipment in the future. We see Russian infantry trying to relocate and hide. They may have made it to the objective, but now they have no ride back. They have no anti-tank weapons that they could use to fight the Ukrainian tank. Any RPGs or explosives that they brought with them got blasted along with their transport. The Russian survivors flee to the nearest building. Here they are provided with some shelter from the drone drop munitions. The building they're hiding in starts taking direct drone hits, then a 125mm HE shell from the tank. The extra demolition force shatters the building apart and collapses cover into deadly traps. The Russian soldier on the exterior of the building is killed. Another one remains inside the building though. As the structure degrades from the barrage, drones drop munitions deeper into the structure, leaving no place to hide. The building takes repeated strikes from all kinds of munitions, tank shells and bombs, completely wiping out the first wave of the armored assault. With the first wave neutralized, the overhead drone takes stock of the carnage. We can count at least 5 Russian casualties that made it into the town, and many more KIA are left in the fields leading up to the objective. But this is only the first wave of the attack, just the beginning of the escalation, because up next, both armies are about to deploy even heavier armor as these Russian BMP fighting vehicles cross open terrain into the Tourette sector. These vehicles are making a mad dash, and their tracks allow them to bound over terrain that the BTR with its wheels couldn't navigate. They're able to attack from surprising angles this way. BMP troop transports have far better and thicker armor compared to the BTRs. They're better trained, and more elite soldiers are inside the hull, and they're issued better gear. But it's not enough to take a direct hit to a weak spot on the turret.
That's crazy, man. Imagine being the guys on the very first wave, right? Like the guys that were on the motorcycles. you know that you're going in to basically get annihilated, to try to recon by, I saw one of Cappy's a comment in this video says recon by dying. That's basically what those first two waves did. Reconned the Ukrainian positions and assets by going out there and dying. Now Russia's sending their more heavy assets, well trained.
Ukrainian FPV drone or tank shot knocks the lead BMP out. The jammers mounted on the top don't seem to have any effect. The vehicle continues driving forward though for as long as it can. But the smoke building up inside the hull and the shrapnel that was sent through it eventually forces them to stop. They're taking unthinkable casualties, but Russian commanders have their own way of calculating acceptable losses. It's a whole different mentality about warfare. Forced out of their transports, the Russian infantry squad flees from the damaged, knocked out BMP. The 6 Russian infantry try to make their way to cover before it's too late. One of the soldiers makes his way to a tree by the river for cover, but the drone has already zeroed in on him. The drone drops 2 explosives on his position, eliminating the soldier. Losing a vehicle for them is only the beginning of the fight. Light infantry in the open are vulnerable to smaller fragmentation munitions from waiting bomber drones. A Russian MTLB takes a direct hit and keeps rolling thanks to its armored cage, but it's unclear how much longer it can continue with all that oil and smoke pouring out of it. The BMP-2 tries to make a run down the same route as the other vehicles, probably to avoid the minefields that are all over Ukraine right now. The BMP's tracks allow it to move quickly through this rough terrain. We get a good look here at all of the different jammers and additional systems that protect the Russian vehicles. We're about to find out if it actually helps. The BMP slows down to pick up a survivor from a previous wave, but lurking overhead is a Ukrainian FPV drone waiting for the ideal opening to strike. The vehicle speeds up, making a run for it. The Russian soldier races to jump on top of the BMP and barely makes it. He's clinging to the left side of the vehicle, Then the Ukrainian drone slams into the right side of the vehicle. It's one of the most bizarre images of the entire assault. Amazingly, both the Russian soldier and the BMP managed to survive the drone strike, though not without some visible damage. Another Russian troop transport takes a direct hit, but now we're seeing transports and troops actually making it to the objective area. Mechanized wave tactics are all about sending enough mass to punch through the outer perimeter of a zone and get soldiers into the fight. Despite the losses along the way, the tactics are progressing with the assault. As they reach the small town where their objective is, the Russian troops get out of their vehicles. One trips and gets blasted by a bomber drone. His body shields his buddies from the shrapnel, enabling them to continue the attack. Russian troops run from the explosion, attempting to find cover. Ukrainian drones will now attempt to hunt, find, fix, and kill the Russian troops, who are now beginning to swarm into the objective area. It's the furthest they've ever made it along this axis. Their plan is to get into the town and hide, then wait for more waves to accumulate mass. For the soldiers surviving to this point, it's a major relief. The Russian armored vehicles finds a spot near some trees as concealment to drop off the infantry. They start disembarking and throwing their equipment and weapons out the back of the vehicle, out the hatches, as quickly as possible. They know they're at their most vulnerable and exposed in these moments. The drone waits hovering above, high enough that no one can hear it over the sound of the vehicle's engine. The drone waits until all the Russian soldiers have gotten out and drops its munition. The bomb explodes right in the center of them, wounding several Russian members of the squad. The rest of the squad runs into the town for cover. They have only moments to avoid being found and tagged. There, a Russian soldier tries hiding under a steel panel at the edge of the house. It's like a horrific game of manhunt. The first bomb sinks into the building, but the second explodes right next to the Russian soldier. Incredibly, the helmet seems to have absorbed the fragments and spared him. This soldier is not as lucky though. The bomb lands directly on him. From this angle, we see that the two sides are fighting over a large town in Toretsk, which explains why Russian command are devoting so many resources towards seizing it. Toretsk was one of the last remaining cities before Russian troops could enter Ukraine's fortress belt. For Ukraine to hold on to the Donbass, they need to slow Russia's advance down in this city for as long as possible. The assaulting troops are scattered, and most of their vehicles are flaming wrecks. But enough of them have made it into the town that the drones can't sweep them all out by themselves. The Russian infantry are starting to regroup inside the houses, and they're beginning to mass. Drones will not be enough to dislodge them. This is when the Ukrainians call in heavy armor of their own to do extremely up-close, close combat, and personal demolition work. Ukrainian tank reinforcements have arrived now that all the Russian armor has been knocked out. Now they can operate in peace. Notice how the Ukrainian tank isn't firing from a kilometer away, even though it could engage from long range. Instead, they drive directly up to the houses and fire from close range 25-50 meters away. Here, you can clearly see the difference between drone bombs and proper high explosives. The 125mm rounds has so much more punch than anything we saw the drones doing earlier in the video. The tank has a shock factor that can dislodge troops from buildings in ways that drones have trouble accomplishing. During the hunting phase of this wave, the Ukrainian tank's job is to flatten as many hiding places as possible. They continue to fire on downed Russian armor to prevent them from being salvageable in the future. They've seen too many pieces of armor be Frankenstein back to life, only to be used in future waves. The overhead drone spots an intact Russian vehicle sitting next to a road and directs the tank onto the target. Just one round puts it out of action permanently. The second phase of the Russian mechanized assault has been completely destroyed. Even though it didn't succeed, all that armor managed to break through the perimeter temporarily. But the assault has yet to reach its climax and culmination because it's about to get even more dangerous. Now we see from the Ukrainian Azov commander's perspective as the Russians send another mechanized assault force against them. Despite heavy casualties, the Russians just keep coming, and the Ukrainian side has to make tough decisions about where to send assets. Another Russian armored column of VDV paratroopers starts advancing on them. They're being monitored from the moment they move. They're 10 minutes till within FPV drone range. Ukrainian artillery starts dropping on them. With the daylight camera turned on, we can see a lot more of the carnage and why the Ukrainians devoted so much time to intercepting this assault. Each drone strike slows the Russians down, but the pace of the assault is relentless. It's only at this scale that we can start to see the cold logic behind what the Russian forces are doing. As brutal as it is, staying on offensive across such a wide area forces the Ukrainians to divide their attention and play defense. The presence of these VDV paratroopers in this particular zone is a clue that Russia's focusing in on the attack here. That's a Ukrainian anti-tank missile streaking across the screen, blowing up the already disabled Russian armor. A Russian tank leads the way on this assault along the road but gets nailed twice. It chugs along as far as it can, but the damage is just too great. Troops riding on top of the tank pile off and continue to assault on foot, but once again, they're turned into prey by the orbiting Ukrainian drones. The sheer number of the Russian troops in this attack means that the bomber drones have to spend a lot of time trying to pick them off. They have to weigh their options on where to allocate this firepower, and where to give ground where resources are tight. You can hear the calls coming in from infantry on the ground, urgently calling for drone support, and Ukrainian HQ reassures the troopers on the ground that support is on the way as soon as they can send it. The city of Toretsk was captured, that support is on the way as soon as...
His patch right here. This is 1st Battalion. So, I mean, 1st Battalion Azov is some badass dudes, man. And they've got a lot of assets and resources.
As they can send it. The city of Toretsk was captured by further Russian assaults over the following year. But as you can see, the cost may have been too high. Russia's pace of advance has now slowed since then, and maybe been too hot.
Okay, this is pretty cool. I can actually show you guys, look, areas where I've been. This region right here. Oh, my screen is in the way. Up here. That's cool. Sorry, I was just looking at it, kind of reminiscing, because there are a lot of areas that have similar names and stuff, but I know this one. That's cool, dude.
Russia's pace of advance has now slowed since then, and may be reaching a culmination point. This massive armored assault shows what the reality of the war is like on the ground for the soldiers. To learn more, check out this video on Ukraine's deep strikes inside Russia and how US intelligence
definitely check them out. We watched this one as well. Great video. Obviously, check out Cappy, you guys. We love Cappy. Cool to see perspective from Azov drone, like aerial perspective, and more mechanized, like armored units. Because we've watched a lot of Azov infantry, assault units, scouts, even snipers. A lot of GoPro footage, on the boots on the ground type stuff, but this goes to show kind of how diverse Azov can be. And initially, Azov was known as, and it was really like 1st Battalion. These guys used to be an infantry unit. That was pretty much it. Now they've got armored vehicles. They've got drone teams, all kinds of stuff. It's cool to see how dynamic all these units they've kind of had to become through this war. So super cool video, dude. Please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Sorry for sneezing and scratching my nose and stuff. I've kind of been dealing with this little allergy thing. I think because it's finally getting nice out. The cold has kind of dwindled here in Ukraine, and it's starting to get warm. So maybe this changing of seasons or whatever. The only reason I mention it is because I saw somebody comment one of the last videos that said, keeps touching his nose. And he said like sus or something, like I'm doing coke on stream or while I'm making videos or something. I saved that for after the videos, guys. Come on. Anyways, I love you guys. We'll see you in the next video.